Hello, Abraham. I have a wonderful wife who's Hispanic, and our kids' first language was Spanish. Now they're going to English-speaking school, and they don't want to speak English. And I'm practically fluent in Spanish, so I am trying to inspire them to want to speak Spanish at home. And I really see a gift that being bilingual is for them. And I'm wanting some advice on how they see that as a gift for them as well, as opposed to, I think the place they're at is they're different because they're going to this English-speaking school, and when they first started going, they did have like an accent, or they would say things like, I like the curtain blue, which would be a Spanish syntax, and then they got made fun of. That's my guess is what's happened to them, and their reluctance to speak Spanish. There's many people who have wished they could speak Spanish that they could when they were a kid, and I just want to.
Well, this is a perfect example, an opportunity to discuss the difference between inspiration calling them and motivation prodding them. In other words, there are a whole lot of people saying what you should do and you would be better off and I don't want you to. But all of that stuff, all of that, doing something because somebody else thinks you should do it, is what trains people away from their own guidance system. We would like you to understand, and we know there are a lot of people that say, well, just throw them in the uncomfortable situation and in time they'll get used to it and they'll end up better off for it. There's a whole school of thought that says just make them do the uncomfortable thing long enough and pretty soon the uncomfortable thing won't be so uncomfortable. And we say that may very well be true. You may numb yourself out so that things that are not in alignment with who you are and what you want become tolerable. But then you meet rooms full of people. Everywhere you go, there are people who are doing things that they really don't want to do, enduring what they don't want to do because somebody else thinks that they should do it, feeling underlying discomfort, which really the best word for that is resentment. In other words, when you train yourself to do all kinds of things that you don't want to do, there's this constant, chronic sort of tugging in your vibration going on, and then people end up in a hospital with a cancer or a heart disease or one of those very, very severe diseases as a result of long-lasting resentment. And then they say, where did we go wrong? And we say, if we were standing in the physical shoes of parents, we would trust that these kids are source energy, knowing who they are coming in, and that they came wanting to explore contrast, and that their own personal, precious life is giving birth to desires that the source within them is tending. And if you will allow them to follow their stream, to follow what feels good to them, they will become the being that they came forth to be, and no one else can define that for them. And so we know that it is tricky as parents because there are all these governmental rules, all of these requirements, all of these expectations that society puts on all of you. And there is not a way for you to remove yourself from that, and we don't see all of that as a bad thing either. We just want you to ask yourself, in all that you live as you watch your children, what do you think are the primary things that watching them as their life unfolds is causing you to put into your vibrational escrow? In other words, you say, well, I want them to speak English as well as Spanish, and we don't disagree with your desire or with the fact that you do want that. So as you see them made fun of, you want them to feel good. As you see them feeling insecure, you want them to find their way. And there is a myth, a destructive myth, that especially the Western civilization, but it's really global, really believes, that says, in order for a child to not feel insecure, he must become like those who surround. So what you're actually saying is you're actually training each other away from being sensitive to hearing the call of source. You're saying, listen to the call of your teacher and listen to the call of your peers. And if somebody makes fun of you, then you need to fix that and you need to be a way that they don't make fun. And we don't want you to teach your children how to jump through the hoops so that they're not made fun of, because there's always going to be another set of hoops by some other unkind group of people. We want you to teach them how to make their feelings unhurtable. People are looking for love in all the wrong places. In other words, the only place that you will feel that fulfillment is by coming into alignment with who you are. And it is our promise to you that if you will allow them to set off their own rockets of desires, and if you will back them up on what they are asking to do, what their inclinations are asking for, they'll have a glorious and productive life. Jerry and Esther have a dear friend who started a Sudbury school in Massachusetts, and the premise of the school was no one learns anything unless they're asking to learn it. Because he's a mathematics teacher and a scientist. He can teach a person who wants to know mathematics from the beginning of addition and subtraction all the way through to the most complicated in less than a year. He is amazed that it is strung out over so many years. If someone wants to know, the next logical question unfolds, the next logical question unfolds, and if they're asking, the answers make sense. But when you're trying to cram answers into people's heads who aren't asking the questions, when you give answers before the question is ripe, the answer doesn't make any sense. So then it just becomes this memorization process. His philosophy was, when the children ask to read, that's when you provide them with the opportunity to read. And until they ask, no one in the school is allowed, even the teachers. You don't walk up and say, Johnny, you're 7 years old. It's time for you to learn to read. You don't even say, Johnny, I read a really good book the other day. You don't even try to dangle the carrot. In other words, you leave the children to be inspired to their own desire. And so his first child wanted to learn to read easily, and learn to read early. And so he was very happy. Oh, the system is really working. His second child didn't care about reading, interested in a lot of other things. 7 years old, still not reading. 8 years old, still not reading. 9 years old, still not interested in reading. Family members are starting to panic. The community is starting to rumble a little bit. But soon enough, this child wanted to learn to read, and within 6 months was up to speed with everyone, because when you want to know, the universe will deliver the means for you to know. You don't have to force knowledge on anyone. And when you answer questions that are not being asked, it's always a rough go. And then you grow up and you say, I'm not free, and I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, and I was robbed of my childhood, and I have these parental issues. And your parents have issues too, because they thought that it was their job to force you to do stuff you didn't want to do, and you were all miserable, and now you all hate each other. Mostly you do, you see. We don't hear any real sincere adoration of children and parents. In other words, not very much, because you're like little prisoners. And it's unnatural to you. We got quite carried away with that. But good time for a segment of refreshment.
Thank you.
The source within you does not look at the illness and use it as justification for why you need the wellness. The source within you rides the rocket of your desire and gives undivided attention to what you're asking for. Humans, in your experience, and those that you revere as great masters, like Jesus said, turn the other cheek. And that was precisely the point that he was talking about. When you know what you don't want, you always know what you do want. When someone has deceived you, or when someone has done something from your point of view that you think is wrong, you automatically ask for an improvement. But when you keep beating the drum of the injustice, you hold yourself apart from where the source within you immediately went. So, when we say to you that the variety that you are living in is the resource of this expansion, we really want you to hear it and understand it, that you are source energy expanding because of the life you are living here in this physical body. And to the degree that while in this body, you allow yourself to keep up with the expansion, you thrive and you experience joy. To the degree that you don't keep up with your own expansion, you don't feel so good. So let's say someone you care about told you a lie. And it's obvious to you that they are deliberately deceiving you. And you know it. You haven't decided what to do about it, but boy, oh boy, are you mad. So you feel the discomfort of this wrongdoing. It's an injustice. This person should know better. That's what you were taught. You knew better. Every time you lied, you knew it. So you feel the discord of that. But in that discomfort, You are sending off all kinds of rockets of desires that go like this. I want a better relationship with this person, and I want this person to feel secure enough in their experience with me to know that they can level with me about things. I want to love this person, not be mad at this person. In other words, whenever you know what you don't want, the other side of it is very clear to you on some levels. So you're sending off these rockets of desires, and the source within you, as always, continues to love and respect and honor this person. In fact, now that this has happened, the source within you, the inner being part of you, loves this person more than before this happened. Just like when you're sick and you want to be well, the source within you is weller than before you got sick. Just like when you don't have enough money and you ask for more money, the vibrational escrow is more abundant now that you have experienced the discomfort of your lack, because in the discomfort of lack, you are asking for more. And when you ask, it is given every single time. It is so annoying when a dear friend or family member, someone you love, maybe even one of your children, interacts with you and causes you to expand, and then your very attention to what they did wrong keeps you from becoming what you've expanded to. So annoying. If they would just be better. Most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they're observing. And that's why you seek to hold so many people accountable. If you would be nice like that one, then when I look at you, I'd feel good. But since you're not being nice like that one, when I look at you, I feel bad and I want to feel good. So you need to do something different so that I can feel good. Ooh, what a platform of powerlessness that is. Because you can't control them. And even if you are big enough, strong enough, influential enough to control that one, there are all those others. So you spend your lifetime trying to control everybody when the only thing you ever really had to do is come into alignment with who you really are. Now, we get this, and we want to give you a way to let yourself off the hook a little bit about this, because we know that if that person who did whatever they did that made you feel that it was wrongdoing, if they had not done that, you're really going to like this. If they had not done that, you would not have expanded. And your discomfort right now is because you did expand vibrationally and the rest of you didn't catch up with it. So you're right to blame them. You're responsible for my growth. I became a better person because of you, vibrationally. But I'm not letting myself be the better person that you caused me to become because I'm looking at you. Isn't that funny? In other words, you could appreciate them for the expansion they caused you. Every evidence of negative emotion that you feel means you've expanded and you just didn't go with the expansion yet. In other words, if you knew the veritable fortune that you've got over there in your vibrational escrow, the relationships, the future experiences, if you had any idea what you have queued up for yourself, you would appreciate every rascal that helped you to make it so. Your government, big deposits to vibrational escrow. The things that trouble you the most are responsible for your greatest expansion. But what happens, the reason that you don't know that is because if you're like most people, you are offering most of your vibration in response to what you're observing. So you're observing what's going wrong, which is causing you to expand, but then you still observe what's going wrong in order to justify your expansion. But you can't have your expansion until you stop observing what's gone wrong. You have to turn your attention to where you want to go and stop beating the drum of what's gone wrong. And we know, blame sometimes feels better than guilt. It's easier to say, no, I'm sure that the fault belongs with her. It's her fault. But we want you to understand that while it feels a little better to blame someone else than yourself, blame always feels better than guilt. But if you make a career of that, you hold yourself in this place of disempowerment, because what you're saying is what others do affects me in a way that I can't overcome. And that really is the platform of powerlessness. Where instead, if you would say, what others do inspire me to what I really want. And the only reason I feel this blame is because I'm not looking at what I've become. I'm not letting myself go because I'm still in the defending and justifying mode. You're following? We think you are to some degree.